Hey, call the meeting to order. Start the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, a good crowd. I want to thank everyone for being here. Exciting night planned. Start with the agenda, guys. Any additions or changes to the agenda?
Parks and Rec is on there instead of, 4-H.
Okay, okay, got that one. Okay, approval of minutes and claims.
I've seen them. You good?
Okay, motion,
Make a motion to approve the claims and minutes. Second claims.
vote.
Roll call vote. Ron Sanders, how do you vote?
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Under new business, we'll start with Country Club Road, Bridge 111. Kevin, you want to give us a background on that one?
Sure. So basically, the one thing that needs to be identified here is that we are in the process of acquiring a right of way for that bridge replacement. That's being sent to the impacted residents. The second part of that is that the grant from CCMG has been approved and we received the contract. The total dollars that are being awarded to us for that bridge is $899,694. The county's matching is for $224,924, and that matching will come out of the CCMG matching fund in the system. So with the current setup in the system as a carryover, we need to basically make a motion to get the contract e-signed, because that's how NDOT goes through and signs those contracts to get the continuation of this moving forward.
Okay.
So what I would like to basically do is make a motion to authorize the president of the board to sign that contract on behalf of the Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that motion.
roll call vote. Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Okay.
One last thing there, just to add, I wanted to go and carry over for the next meeting.
Okay.
We will need to basically address an addendum to that project coming from USI, the consultants for that bridge.
Addendums, what again?
The addendum is basically, I'm going to validate some numbers on that, but it's a supplement to the original design contract for additional funding.
Thank you. And I'll put that on the, yeah. All right, hey, hopefully give a little context on these next few items on when it comes to the changes. For one, if you want to understand or read the background minutes, audio, at the county website, if you go out there, you look on there's an agenda and meeting section. You go out there, the commissioner's office, auditor's office, IT does a really good job of posting our audio, our minutes, and our agenda. So all the details, supporting detail for some of these projects are in there. So for those that are interested. The other one, I want to give a little background, a little hail of thunder maybe, on this changes to ordinances. Typically, I get a question sometimes, we should be able to do whatever we want with our property. Well, you can do that, I think, in about 7 counties that don't have any zoning ordinance. So you can build a house and have somebody put a pig farm in next to you. So we have an ordinance. And what guides our zoning decisions is really our comprehensive plan. We're in the process of updating the revision, and probably we'll be working on that over the next 9 months to a year. And the comprehensive plan pretty much identifies, really, the whole point is to serve property values is number one. And then if a change is a good fit for the county. You've got a current situation, you want to make a deviation. Does that make sense within the context of our comprehensive plan? And probably the most interesting of those changes, we packed this room with really controversial some changes, and people lobby one way or the other. And that's generally when you know what your target is on a certain area is the input we get from folks. And then the other one is just you want responsible development. You want to manage that growth and do the smart things. So that's pretty much the context for comprehensive plan and zoning, and we'll probably hit some of these. This ordinance on the temporary closure of the unmained parts of Combs Road. Was anyone here last year when that issue came up? Okay, that got not only local, but it got regional and state attention, if not national attention on that road. It's an unmaintained road. We have a gate across it. It had historical problems. In 2004, there was an ordinance written, and they're good for 5 years to kind of close that. And after all the discussion and pretty good testimony on the history of this thing and how that progressed, turned out that you can't open up that road or open up that gate without stakeholder involvement. And that was the folks, the Houston National Forest was one of those that were maintaining that after we closed it. So you had to involve more stakeholders. So that was turned down. So then what we decided to do, and we've covered that in here, it should be no surprise. We've had, we had probably about 2 or 3 times, this was on our agenda, we talked about different options. And so we ended up with, let's just suspend that for 5 years. So that's the temporary closure of unmaintained roads. It takes an ordinance and it's good for 5 years and then we can renew it. And there may be other options, but those are pretty complicated. So that's not on our radar screen right now. So I just need, guys, we have any questions or discussion, just need a motion on that.
Is there,
Just want to discuss it.
is there anybody in the audience that has anything to say about Combs Road? There's a couple people.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just come to the mic, please.
Mike and then Nikki.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name's Tim Maloney. I'm a resident of Brown County. I do not live near Combs Road in that part of the county. I live closer to Helmsburg, 40-year resident of the county. And I attended the Commissioners meeting last year where the reopening was discussed and was one of the folks who spoke in opposition to the reopening. And there were a lot of road neighbors who spoke on that. The supervisor of the Hoosier National Forest spoke in opposition. The county sheriff was greatly concerned about that. So appreciate your consideration of working to close the road and would support that. I would just call to your attention the provision in the code that's cited in your ordinance that also provides for permanent closure, if that's something you would also want to consider as you move forward. I think it said the code says that if it's been temporarily closed in the past, then the commissioners could act to permanently close it at that point. So anyway, appreciate your taking this issue up again and looking at how to close it in the best way and respond to the concerns about the road and the proposed reopening last year. So
Thank you. Appreciate that. But we looked at several options. Permanent closure was one, and this guy found a short-term 5-year suspension that we'll look at. Because it's just not that, there's other unmaintained roads in the county that we're kind of looking at. So thank you, appreciate it.
thanks.
Yeah. Oh, Eric, can you turn that mic on? I don't think it's on. Thank you.
You got it.
Yeah, my name is Paul Nelson and, I'm just an interested party. I'm wondering if you close the road, it'll still be available to backpackers and mountain bikers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And I'm wondering, will there be any maintenance to keep the trail wide enough for any fire equipment to be able to get back there? Because currently I don't think anything could get back there as far as any type of brush trucks or anything, if anything was ever to happen. I've heard I've listened to the sheriff's concerns and other people, but I haven't heard it mentioned about fire suppression if we have a really dry season.
I'm not aware of any.
I'm not aware of any of that.
We're treated as unmaintained. There's different groups that maintain different parts of it. The Mountain Biking Association, for instance, Hoosier National Forest on parts, but from the county perspective, we're not. Okay, I have any visibility on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Well, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I'll go ahead and make a motion that in the process of that, from what I remember, if it's correctly, I think Mogan is up there. On the 5 years we can revisit it in 3 years, correct? You up there, Moga?
That's correct. After 3 years, a second petition can be filed to close it permanently.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to do the 5-year closure for portions of Combs Road.
Second that. So, Mike, do we need to read that ordinance?
You can choose to read the whole thing through, or you can choose to, read it to the record as posted in the record. So essentially what you're going to say is the ordinance is as read in the record, and the record will list the actual copy of the ordinance. Unless you want to make Tim go through the whole thing and read it.
You want the ordinance number?
He's been.
You got the wording correct?
So does that mean that we need to amend that motion?
No, I think you can move forward with it.
Okay, so I'll second with an amendment, basically as the ordinance will be read into the record. As is.
Okay, cool.
Ordinance number 2025-003-019-000.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes. Kayla, you're on.
All right, how much detail do we want to get into here? Do we just want to do a brief synopsis? Do you want staff reports? Do you want the entire history of, we're doing the internally lit signage first. And I know that you guys have seen all the staff reports. Do you want me to just read the certification? How do
We're
you?
kind of familiar, you just kind of give us the highlights on the background of it and kind of where we're at.
Okay, so this petition went before the Area Planning Commission on February 25th of 2025. This was filed by this Board of Commissioners to the APC, and then now it's back to you all. It was unanimously voted to send a favorable recommendation, 6-0 with 1 member absent. So this is basically undoing what was done in November of last year to allow internally lit signage in certain zoning districts. So we are basically going directly back to what it was,
With the exception of the 2 signs that were
with the exception of the 2 signs that currently exist.
permitted.
Mhm.
Is there any other applications on file?
No.
Any other signs? Okay.
Folks, and just to reinforce that, when this came up, the issue with the Area Planning Commission, they had 2 meetings on it. It was one, it was too vague, wasn't enforceable, and then they wanted more input from the community. So it's unanimous agreement twice from the board, and then, really a 3rd time recently. So we're just reversing it, but yet letting those 2 stay.
Yeah, the APC has visited this multiple times.
It's been an interesting process.
Yes, it has.
Thank you.
Is there anyone want to say?
Captain, anyone? Questions?
What's the reason for letting, like, the exception?
Please come to the microphone, please.
Yes, Christina McElroy, live and work here. I followed that when it went through the APC. And I know that when it was pitched by Blake Wolpert, there was a lot of vagueness as it was presented. Words like near an intersection, like that. But it was also pitched that it was just going to be within the county. Everybody kept saying, no, not the town of Nashville, not in Nashville, because everybody was up in arms that this was gonna be like Gatlinburg and we want to stay rustic, and that's the way Brown County has always been, and that is correct, and that's the way we want to remain. But I'm just curious as to why we are making an exception, because to the community that was against that being allowed in the first place, it seems like there was one building that entire argument was for, and that is one of the exceptions, which I would assume is the Brown County Music Center. And it also, internally lit sign, and then the issue was the ones with the writing that goes across, and it could be distracting to drivers and so on and so forth. I know the argument was there's no problem seeing signs here in the night, you know, there's not been a problem just having them lit, you know, like lights facing towards it. But it was written poorly, and I'm just curious as to why there are 2 exceptions being made.
Well, the two, they were approved.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, would you, thank you.
Sure.
I want to say. I don't think I'll have to say anything else.
Thank you.
Okay, so there was one sign that was permitted, back in, it was 2018, early 19 possibly. And there was wording on the back of the sign permit, which we typically do not get. So it was missed on a sign permit that it said it was going to be an internally lit sign. And that was for the away day campground. So that is one of the exceptions, and that was the main push, I believe, behind, was to bring them into compliance. So the music center did come in after the ordinance was already passed. So they are legally permitted and, you know, spent the money on their sign legally.
And I would suspect we'd be open to litigation if we wanted to reverse those two.
Don't know. That's a question.
There's a legal permit for one. So most definitely, if we take away the one that was permitted legally, I think we'd be opening ourselves up quite a bit.
Possibility of.
Yeah.
The only thing I want to say is, at the time, the other 2 commissioners up here, that's what happened. I didn't vote for it. The 2 new commissioners are looking at it. We'll find out how they vote here in a minute. If nobody else has anything to say, I'll make a motion. The accept motion. I make a motion that we return the light ordinance sign, amend it back to what it was. Is there any legal language more that needs to be added, Mr. Moga?
No, so to clarify, you're making a motion to pass the ordinances as presented to you by the APC, which is to return it back to the original language with this exception of the 2.
That's, yeah, correct.
Yep, and for the record, that's chapter 4, section 15 of the Brown County zoning ordinance.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, roll call vote. Ron Sanders,
Yes.
Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick.
Yes.
I guess I don't get to go anywhere, do I?
And we got you back to back.
Yeah.
All right, this next one is a rezone. This rezone is a request from the Borums on Beech Tree Road. I know you guys have all this information, so I'll just read a couple of things here, and then if you have more questions, you let me know, and I'll read whatever else into the record we need to. Okay, again, on February 25th, 2025, the Brown County Area Plan Commission considered a petition to rezone property owned by Gary and Deborah Borum and Nathaniel Borum at 6385 Beech Tree Road in Hamlin Township from secondary residential R2 to accommodation AB. A description of which is attached here too. The commission voted 6-0 with 1 member absent to send a favorable recommendation to the Brown County Commissioners. Did you want any staff report read on that?
I would, please.
The entire thing, or just
the
highlights
Just
maybe?
your findings.
Okay. So the general findings on here, petitioners are requesting approval of a rezone for approximately. Okay, it's 15 acres, but I can't find it here now.
15.5.
15 and a half. I was close. From R2, which is secondary residential, to AB, accommodation business. The petitioners own a boat service, which is a small family-owned business with only one full-time employee. The request would utilize the acreage to store and service customers' boats as well as live full-time on the property. Accommodation business districts, and this is coming from section 2.1 of the ordinance, are established to include areas that are close to LR districts and appropriate to the limited shopping and service needs of those districts. Under the use chart, again, in the zoning ordinance titled Business Uses Miscellaneous, boat sales, service, and storage are allowed uses in general business and accommodation business districts. Then I have what my recommendation was to the APC, and then they've since forwarded that to you. Since the property is located near the largest lake residential district in the county, and the accommodation business zoning district was established to provide services to accommodate the LR district, staff feels that this is an appropriate and responsible use of the land. Oh, and another issue here too, a couple of people have asked if they'll get Board of Zoning Appeals approval to, after this rezone. That would not be needed. So this use is allowed by right in accommodation business.
That it, Kayla?
That's it.
Okay. Want the audience or you guys want to?
I think we should. I think see the owners here in the audience. I don't know if
Let's,
anyone
anyone
else.
to speak in favor?
I'd like to.
My name's Nate Warham. I'm the owner of the property at 6385 Beech Road. I'm also the owner of Orange Boat Service. And I'd like to thank you for hearing our, for rezoning. Our plan is to build a barn dominium for my family to live in and also to work out of. We currently have, most of our customer base is Cordray Sweetwater Lakes, Lamb Lake, and then the surrounding lakes. From what I understand, there's 61 lakes in Brown County, and there's only one marina and only a couple independent repair shops. I opened my business back in 2019. I've been doing this for a little over 20 years. Worked for a couple different service places up in Indianapolis. But our goal since I opened the business has been to move down to Brown County so we can better serve the community down here. And we finally found a property that's in the area, and it is perfect for what we need. It's perfect for our family, secluded area. But little history, my family bought a house down in Sweetwater in the early 80s. My grandparents bought it. It's been in the family ever since. I grew up down there every weekend, holiday, anytime I could be down in Brown County, I'm down in Brown County. So I've always wanted to move from Indianapolis, where I live currently, down in Brown County. And when this property came available, it was too good to pass up, and also fulfilled the need for us to build our business there. Currently we have one employee. I have no intentions of growing the business past that. It is a very small, mobile-based repair thing. We do mostly on the water repairs, but I also need to have a location where I can do larger repairs indoors, when it gets nasty out, like any other winters typically. So, like I said, our goal has always been to move down to Brown County, and then, the idea is this is our home first, business second. Just your typical pole barn building. We're not working on boats. We're outdoor people. We enjoy Brown County parks. We go camping, hiking, boating, any kind of, activities outdoors. We've had this dream for a while. We've lost out on several opportunities, properties that get sold out from underneath us, and we finally got one. So we really appreciate you considering our rezoning appeal.
Anyone else?
Good evening. Hello, my name is Stephanie Warham, and I am married to Nate Warham, the owner of the business and the property. And I am in full support of the request of rezoning the property from R2 secondary residence to AB accommodation district. As Nate said, we want to build a barn dominium, and we want to live there full time. Of course, it would be our home. I did not grow up in Brown County, but I did grow up in Lawrence County. And my connection to the forest area is the Hoosier National Forest, which is the western part of all of the beautiful forest here. So it has not only been a dream of his, but it's also been a dream of mine, which became a dream of ours, to be able to live in this beautiful community and county. I do want to say we are requesting a rezone, but this is our home first. We bought the property with the hopes to be able to operate our business from our home, like many other people do. One of our goals is to remain as discreet as possible. It's an odd business model. We are a very small business. We have Nate as a one mechanic. We have one other mechanic, and then I handle the operations and the day-to-day business stuff. We have zero intentions of expanding. We want to build our shop and home in Brown County while continuing our existing operations. So we've had our business for 5 years. Nate has been spending the last 5 years commuting from Indianapolis to Cordray Sweetwater. And so we're not trying to build a dealership, or we're not trying to, do anything like that. We're really just trying to cut down his drive time a little bit, be home a little bit more. So in closing, thank you so much for your consideration in our rezoning. We do hope to build our lives here and our business in Brown County. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Okay.
I'd like to. What I'm starting to see, and so far I think I've located 2 of them. I think one of them is actually on Beech Street, boat storage. I looked up one on GIS today, and it didn't seem to be, not the one on Beech Street, but one somewhere else in the county that's storing boats, and it don't seem to be zoned. And did you say you looked at the boat storage thing on Beech Tree, or you didn't see it, or?
I didn't see anything there, no.
Did you see a boat storage on Beech Tree?
No, Sweetwater Trail, I think.
Have you seen one, sir?
There's one on, I believe it's Sweetwater Trail. It's on past Beech Tree, closer to,
Nineveh.
actually more towards like Salt Creek, coming towards 46.
Okay.
It's set, yeah.
Yeah, it's south there, yeah.
Well, with that said, I'd like to get some clarity and look at this a little closer. If you'd entertain a motion.
Open up further,
I've
Scott.
got a couple of questions before we go down that path, if you don't mind.
How about,
So, you say that right now, so you are running a business out of Indianapolis, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then that means moving here, and has your business mainly been Sweetwater, or
Yeah.
Princess Lake, it's been part of that as well?
It's Sweetwater, Cordray, Land Lake, Princess Lakes, and Lake LaSalle over off of 135, Fruitdale. And then also we do some down at Monroe, but primarily Sweetwater, Cordray, and Land Lake and Princess Lakes.
Okay, and just out of interest, you're looking at proceeding with this rezoning request, it sounds like you're ready to, or wanting to move forward with building the facility. What's your target date for doing that? Do you have any idea? As soon as possible.
We're currently in our beginning stages of spring, which is one of our busiest times.
Okay.
So it'll probably be closer to, we'd like to get started as soon as possible, but realistically, we would expect to be moved in and operational down here by the end of May, early June.
Okay. Well, and I just wanted to share with the board members today, I actually did do a little more research on my own. There are basically 9 boat storage businesses within a 22-mile range driven, from what I can tell. The narrowest one being in Nineveh, from what I could see. in the research I did. And as far as speaking to boat repair, and you can confirm that, it sounds like you did. I could only find 2 repair service businesses, and most of those seem to be in Bloomington.
Yeah, and we're primarily a repair, like we do transportation, service calls, and then boat repair. Storage is kind of an ancillary extra, I get, over the winter time, we typically have a handful of boats that get engine replacements, larger projects that we need to have on site that we can work on as we get parts for them.
Okay. That's all I have.
Do you have anything on that, sir?
Yeah, I do. I was at the APC hearing, listened to the audio a couple times, started digging into the research. I was kind of curious. When you think residential, I think the opposition, I think there were 9 letters went out, 4 were certified as back, and then there's 1 complaint from the neighbor. And then, he'd mentioned, gee whiz, it's a residential area. Lo and behold, I've got a commercial business right next to me. And I thought, well, that would bother me on the first surface. So I kind of dug into that. And R2, you ever want some good reading and maybe put yourself to sleep at night, read the zoning ordinance. But when you look at R2, that's residential secondary. And so there's all kinds of commercial related businesses allowed in an R2 district, just not homes. So we think residential, it's got to be homes, and here's a business. Well, that's not the case in R2. And then when you're within that Lake Region district and you're allowed accommodating businesses, there's a whole range of accommodating businesses as well, and including commercial. So it's not a shock. And so I think Kevin and I both went out and looked at your property, saw everything you described. It's kind of nice. You painted a good picture when you talked about it. I saw your lower area, saw the lower road going back there and the higher road. You had the septic, and you had that really house right across the street, but you could only see half the house when you looked at it from your property. So you're kind of up in a berm. Then you got a big ravine between you and the neighbor, and even with the trees, with leaves out on the trees, you really hard to see the house. And so there's a pretty big distance, and I'm thinking you get the trees up there, you're not going to be able to see anything.
Right.
It suppresses any noise you might have. And I got a neighbor's got a pole barn and one of those wood miser things. When he shuts his door, I don't hear it.
Right.
But when the windows are open, yeah, I hear it. And I ask him how he's doing. So, so the noise thing, you're on a berm, and I think I went down, came up Sweetwater Trail and saw the one boat storage thing there up there. I don't think you'll be able to notice yours from the street. And then, my concern was, gee whiz, how many of these lake districts do we have? And Kayla was great, did the research for me and said, well, identified all the big things. And then we looked at the map and where all these AB areas were and did it kind of make sense? And so, I guess one other concern I had, I said, well, gee whiz, there's no other commercial property, so to speak, on your road. So, would everybody else want to do the same thing? That's what's nice about zoning, because you just can't say, well, they got it and I automatically get the same thing. You can't do it. Every decision is unique. So when you look at an area and you look at what the deviation is going to be, does it fit within the area? Does it meet everybody's needs or everybody's concerns? And so that would vary. So if there were 10 of you guys coming in here wanting to do something, I hate to tell you, there'd be 10 different reactions, and I bet you the room would be packed with hell no on one group and greatest things since sliced bread on the other. So I think, and then Kevin too, he went out into Google and did a lot of research and looked at the mileage and looked at all this kind of thing. So I'm pretty confident, with the decision, of the APC and so any other discussions or?
I'd ask to make a motion.
Okay.
Entertaining.
Sure.
I make a motion to table it until we can figure out what's going on with all these boat storage places in the county.
You mind?
I don't mind. Have at it. That's why we got
The large boat storage area on Sweetwater Trail is not zoned appropriately.
Okay.
The owner has been notified. There's currently a violation out on that. He will be either seeking rezoning or we will be seeking litigation.
But this will be set precedents.
Each situation is most definitely unique.
And
Yeah.
like I said, I already know 2 other boat storage places. And I think there used to be, I don't know if it's still there or not, down on North Shore, there used to be a boat place down there that did repairs.
There did used to be. I don't know if that's still in operation. Or I don't go that way very
That's
often.
why I said I was looking for some time. If we was to table it and I was to get a second, you know, it's like you got 90 days. And then if you don't bring it back up before the board, I mean, the attorney can answer this, then it's automatic. So is that correct, Caleb?
I believe it's 90 days
Yeah.
and then it
So-
goes per the APC. Definitely have my,
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah,
you
to
wanna pipe in?
clarify, it is 90 days, but the language specifies you shall vote. So you do have to vote. If you don't vote, there's well, I won't go into, but there's options in order to require the legislative body to vote. So correct. You are right in the 90 days though, Ron.
My motion is to table until I get a little bit more research in on it. And because I really don't want to set precedents. Do I hear a second?
Hearing none.
You're done, no second.
That means you two are gonna own this.
Motion dies.
I'll make an motion that we approve the rezoning from R2 to AB per docket number 25-RZ-01.
I'll second.
Roll call vote, Tim Clark,
Yes.
Kevin Patrick,
Yes.
Ron Sanders,
No.
Motion carries. Hey, next on the agenda, Parks and Rec. Park Shields.
Good evening. Mark Shields with Brown County Parks and Rec. And I'm just here to update you guys on a couple projects that the Parks Department is moving forward on. So we've got a couple unique projects that's came for the Parks Board within the last year and a half. One of which is a bicycle pump track. The other project is a pickleball court project. So, for those of you that aren't familiar, a pump track, this is like a bicycle terrain park. It's kind of an amenity that would help people learn how to balance, improve their skills on biking. Sort of goes kind of hand in hand with the mountain biking community. That's something that Kate and Danielle Nolan approached the Parks Board about, I'll say about a year and a half ago. So that is something that we are looking to bring both of these projects out to Deer Run Park. Been kind of working on this, as I say, for about a year and a half. So just wanted to update commissioners as well as the public kind of on where we are with those things. So the pump track, as I say, we are at about 60%, 65% of funding that's been raised towards the goal overall of 200,000 for this project. And I wanted to reiterate that this funding has all been raised through grants, donations by which primarily Kate and Danielle Nolan gone out seeking these funds through the community, through, as I say, other resources within state, federal level. So with that project, we're hoping within the next few months to try to meet that final push to raise that 200,000. The pickleball court project. So again, similar project where we have an outside group that has approached the Parks Board, pitched this idea of bringing outdoor pickleball courts to Deer Run. That project has been spearheaded with Danny Key and the Brown County Pickleball Club. So that project, we are at the point where we have reached the approximately, I think it's 110,000 for that. So we are at that point where we have that funding available and got contractors lined up to get started on that. Again, same deal. This project raised through grants and community donations. We're hoping we can kind of get started on that project here maybe within the next month or so. So been working with Teresa and Kevin on trying to outline sort of a licensing agreement with both the pickleball club and also with Danielle for the pump track. So the purpose of this, trying to get a licensing agreement to where we can have some sort of contract document that would protect the county from any kind of liability. Just indemnifying not only the parks board, but the county as a whole. Should there be any kind of issues come up through the construction process, so forth. Also looking to then create a memorandum of understanding then going forward. Separate document. This would then be in line with working with the Brown County Pickleball Club for the pickleball court project, as well as then looking at working with Kate and Danielle with Brown County Bikes, potentially other entities as well with the pump track, to where through the clinics, in the case of the pickleball courts, looking at tournaments in the future, different events, to where those entities would help the park raise the funds for any kind of continued upkeep or future maintenance costs for those projects. So again, I'm just here to update everyone on the status of those projects.
Any questions?
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay,
Couple cool projects.
I think so. I'm excited. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Human resource, Teresa. Okay. Eric.
Hello.
Highway.
I got a few things. Like Kevin said, we did receive our call one for community crossings. That'll leave us about $600,000 to go after call two later this year. And then that'll be used for the Hoover Bridge project up on Hoover and Sweetwater. So hopefully we'll be able to knock the next few bridges out this year. So we did end up, we ordered our new truck, so it'll be here in a couple months. They won't build the bed and actually build it out until August, but the truck will be on the lot here in a couple months. So it'll be a cabin chassis. We did finally start receiving some of our money from NDOT from our bridge inspection match. Some of those vouchers hadn't been turned in from 23. We finally got those submitted, got all the right paperwork submitted. We've received almost $40,000 in the last month with that 20% match that we were supposed to get. So we're getting that done. We're still working on our cost estimates for local paving. We've got a few roads that we've measured and marked out base repairs. We're just putting all that together to see how much we can actually do this year with local money, since we're using community crossings for bridges. Let's see. So one of our pieces of equipment, our CAT excavator, is on a lease program. We paid our last lease payment this past December. So I thought when I first got here that was a buy. It's not, it's a lease. At the end of the December, we either need to give it back to CAT or we need to spend about $86,000 to purchase it. So more than likely, it's going to go back to CAT, and we're looking at alternate equipment that we can either, I say lease, it'll be a lease with the option to buy for $1 at the end of the lease. So we're looking at other options for some different equipment. So that'll come up here shortly. Teresa and I worked on our 2024 annual operations report today. That's something that needs to be completed through LTAP every year, so we can be eligible to go after grants. Without this, it's like our asset management plan, we can't do it. So we were able to, with her help, we were able to get that done today. Yep. So I'll need signatures from you guys, and then I can sign it and get it submitted to LTAP so they can get us our certificate.
What's the deadline typically on that, Eric?
The operations report,
Yeah,
they send it out, they give you, a couple months notice, they send it out and say, hey, this is due in a couple months. So
okay, so you just
we just received this, I think I just received this last week, and I reached out to her and we got it done today. So we're probably 2 months ahead of
This year we were late.
Last year, we were at the deadline. We were at the day that it's due, we got it submitted. So, but that's really all I got. I'll have you guys sign that after the meeting or whatever. That's really about it. I mean,
we're all good on salt orders for next year. Got the
So-
contract finished up.
yeah, I went ahead and tried to get more this year, so I have another 400 tons on kind of a temporary order as a hold. If people don't pick up their orders, they're gonna release that and let us have it. But as far as next season, we've reserved 1,000 tons. The last year was only 400 for some reason. I didn't submit that one.
Okay.
So our barn's looking pretty low right now. So hopefully we get the 400 and we can get the 1,000 for next season. We'll be back in good shape. So right now we're just, storm cleanup from, last weekend's wonderful weather. So.
Great, thank you for that report. Hey, last item, Mike, anything to add?
Nothing else to add. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? I'll second. He's adjourned.
Thank you very much. That's the only one I beat him to tonight.
Right.